Ladies and gentlemen, we're about to watch brand new content from the New World devs talking about their first ever New World expansion. Will New World have enough content to bring many people like myself back? Let's check it out.
Hi everyone, welcome to the August developer update. As you can see, Tina's not here today, so we're going to do things a little bit different. It's going to be a group of us talking through everything together.
Who's Tina?
First, though, I want to introduce the other people at the table with me. So we have Dan Henhuber, who is our social experience lead. We have his partner in camouflage, Mike Willett, who is the world experience lead. And we have Katie, who's the live lead producer type person on the team. So anyway.
Nailed it.
Live type person,
All your
thing,
live
lady,
perfect.
human.
Yell at her.
Before we start, though, I want to touch base on a quick update. The summer medley fair, we're going to actually run that until September 6th. Just so you all know, you have a little more time to get your Maudlin Haze and get up to the Maestro and get all the good goodies there. Today, we're going to talk about the next update, which is the Brimstone Sands update that is coming in October.
Dude, it's
pretty excited about this. It's
got like an Egyptian feel to it.
We're also going to do a little bit of a dive into territory management and progress we're making toward that and how we're thinking about it.
Oh, bro.
We're going to talk about the PTR rollout plan for the Brimstone update, and then we're going to sign off. So without further ado, I'm going to start us with a dive into the upcoming update.
Okay, that looked epic already. Egyptian feel, upgrades to what territories can look like and what the buildings look like. So sick. I'm already sucked in.
All right, we want to talk a little bit about the Brimstone update. We're not going to go too deep because in September we have some time reserved where we're going to really dive into that. But at a high level, Mike, do you want to give an overview of Brimstone, which is the anchor for the release?
Sure thing, Scott. So some background on it and the lore. An old Egyptian kingdom basically arose thousands of years ago in this area of Eternum, known as Brimstone Sands, and they had this symbiotic relationship with the ancients. And along the way, there was a big falling out and a war.
Okay, this is one problem that New World has, is just similar monsters just reskinned. So there's a lot of these skeletons in New World. Now they're just reskinned to just have some Egyptian-looking armor on them. So it seems like they're staying consistent with just the reskinned mobs. You really feel that during the leveling process. I would love to see them add some new mobs, so hopefully they still will, but that's definitely an observation I made right off the bat.
War that occurred. No details to share yet. You're going to have to wait till the next update. But what happened is almost 1,000 years later, the Roman Legion arrived. And then...
Wait, there's a story in New World?
They had some encounters with corruption, and that led to kind of the modern state where things are in disarray, and one of your old allies has now become a nemesis here on Eternum. And so part of that story has to play out in this brand new, almost 3 zones worth of content, which is Brimstone Sands.
Wow, 3 zones worth of content.
It is a massive place. We have sulfur pools and new ancient artifacts and structures and brand new POIs and dozens of new enemies. It is an awesome place.
We want to leave some surprises.
Some surprises. I'm not going to dive into too many details,
cool.
But there's some creatures there that are just like very good.
Oh, okay, so we are getting some
and it's just fun to have this massive, diverse zone to run around that looks nothing like anything in the game right now.
Yeah.
We're really excited to share that with everybody. And I guess if you're going to be hanging out in this new zone with really tough enemies, you're going to need something to help you live there, right? A new weapon?
A new weapon. What's that one that players have been asking about?
Sweat Gourd.
I didn't like
Oh,
that
no,
at
I'm sorry.
all.
Great sword.
Gotcha.
Totally messed that up. No, I know it's been long requested, and I've talked to the Daves about this at length, so some more teasers about it.
The Daves?
It does scale evenly up with strength and dex, 2-handed weapon, and allows you to stance between basically the 2 trees. One is really offensive oriented, and it's called, I think...
Stance? Bro, they're going to let you... Okay, if you ever played WoW Classic and played a warrior, that was my favorite part about being a warrior, was stance dancing. And I don't, at least to my knowledge, I don't believe there's any other weapon type that lets you do that. This could be huge.
I think it's Onslaught, and basically you're sacrificing health basically for damage. So you're going to receive more damage so you can give more damage. And there's an awesome give and play with that. And you're also going to sacrifice more stamina in order to do heavier attacks much faster. So it's a really cool tree. And then when you use abilities from the Defiant stance, which is more defense oriented, also can be used by tanks because it has things that will draw aggro.
Nice.
A lot of counter hit play.
This is great. So another tank weapon to put in your arsenal. This is really, really nice.
You're going to do less damage, but you're going to take less damage. And so there's a lot of things where you can block incoming attacks, and the amount of attacks that you block during a set amount of time will unleash even more damage on the release.
Oh,
I love
really
to hear that we are thinking about tanks when we talk about these trees.
Yeah, it's a really unique weapon. I'd love to see tank play, and just how it gets incorporated into other people's builds. But
Well, yeah, that's the key, I think, is you can pair it because
That's
it's
gonna be
next and
so
strength with
good,
so
dude.
many of our weapons. It's gonna players are gonna find things we never thought of as far as ways to use this. I'm again, it's a really exciting release coming up. There's a lot.
There's probably more, but I'm going to save that for the next update because I'm sure the Daves really want to dive in.
We really got the important.
Why does he keep saying Dave's? Like, he sounds American to me, but I don't know. I don't know why I keep saying Dave's, dude. I think he's trying to say Devs.
Stuff out of the way, which is when that's going to be headed their way, and is the Great Sword included?
Yeah, I think it's going to be great.
Yeah.
Well, and is there any other playable content included, like maybe an expedition that you want to talk about, Mike?
There is an expedition. So one of our latest expeditions, it goes along the story of
Expeditions are basically a
the
dungeon.
ancients and that relationship with the Romans and that Roman legion. And so it takes place in our giant pyramid known as the Ennead. Players are going to obviously group up, and they're going to head for the Ennead expedition. And it's going to be unlike anything that you've played so far. Really cool visuals, brand new enemies.
This does look sick.
New mechanics. So we have like these sentry guards that actually roam some of the halls. So I'm really excited about it.
Reskin
All
mobs.
new loot. Can't wait for players to get in the PTR and check it out.
We'll have a lot to show on this over the as we get closer to the release. And there's one more. Well, there's a bunch of more stuff, but there's one more we're going to talk about right now that we've kind of held as a secret until now. And we've heard a lot of feedback from players on our starting experience, how they wanted more variation in AI, more variation in the zones, everything to feel different, especially more variation in questing. So we've revamped the first 25 levels of the experience.
Really?
And we cannot wait to share it with everyone and get people in to see it. Again, we're going to do a much deeper.
Wow. I will say right off the bat, normally when a game is in its first few years of existence, you only see it improving new content, adding new content, but not looking back to improve its starter content, which sometimes is so counterproductive because if you don't improve the starter experience, a lot of people might quit the game before they can get to the new content you just spent all this time making. So I got to be honest, New World definitely has made a lot of mistakes for sure. Every game company does. No one's perfect. But I will say kudos to New World for after being out for maybe 2 years, seeing them already going back with the humility to say, maybe we missed the mark on our, entry-level experience, and going back and allocating all the resources to make the beginning of the game better in hopes that people actually make it to end game. I think that's a huge W.
We'll dive on this next month. But our goal is to get it out there. We think we've addressed enough to make everyone think, wow, this is awesome. Once we start validating that with players, we're going to take those learnings and apply them all the way through the entire questing experience and leveling experience. And another thing.
I do agree, Sandmaker. I don't think they had a choice, but a lot of devs will make mistakes that you would think they don't have a choice to go back and fix it, but they won't. And they are, which is great.
Like this release is really big. There's a lot here. There's a lot of stuff we haven't even talked about yet, and we can't wait to get into. But it's exciting, which is why we're devoting a couple of dev updates to it.
Dang. All right, rollout plan. Tell me what's coming. Tell me.
Shifting back to the Brimstone release, Katie, let's talk about the PTR rollout plan.
Sure. So for those not savvy to what PTR is, that's the public test realm. I know you were wondering, Willette. So I'm glad I explained it. So similar to what we saw with the Summer Medley Fair content, Barnacles and Black Powder, Group Finder, those all hit the PTR at different times. So that we could focus our scale testing on each of those. We're going to continue that when it comes to the Brimstone Sands release. So we're not releasing all of the things that we just talked about at the same time. The first thing that players will see, or that we're anticipating players will see on the PTR, is that starting experience that you were talking about, Scott. So that's the first thing that they're going to see.
So I've heard them say a few times the Brimstone Sands release. I think from what I gave in this video that is the overarching name of this new expansion they're adding, but they haven't really kind of just like come out and said it. We're adding a new expansion called Brimstone Sands. But I've heard it enough times that I feel like that is the name of the content they're bringing.
They'll see the
Unless somehow I just missed that early in the video, but I don't think I did.
Sword during that time too. So those are the two main things they're putting out there, along with the thousands of other changes that we put in this game that you can only find in the patch notes because we cannot recall them because we're not automatons. But then after players have had a time to help us scale test that, then we're going to introduce Brimstone Sands.
Okay.
So those will all be available
This
on the
looks
PTR
sick.
before we do the release in October.
Nice.
And we're introducing so much change and so much new stuff that we really need the community to get in there and help us test this. We're even adding a little more time than normal to have the PTR running because we just want to make sure we find everything and have time to address it. Like, we're so excited about this release. We could really use as much help as possible testing and making sure it's not only bug-free, but fun, that we're hitting the right notes.
Yes.
I think is super important.
I think that's probably more important than the other bugs, which of course, like, we want to get their bug reports. But I think the thing when at least this first hits PTR, what we really want is, number one, the scale that we can't create on our own, which is individual players playing individually, not acting like bots, but going in and roughing up the build as they would normally, and then letting us know if it's fun. Is this something that you were excited to see this new content? Is this something that you have suggestions for us? Our community managers always put in those in the forums. They put in mega threads for feedback. That's where you should put your sentiment. Put all the bug reporting, in-game feedback that goes into these models that parse it for us and put it in the right buckets for people. But if you want to give us feedback on, was this fun or not? Where do you think we could improve? What are we doing really well that you want us to double down on? It's the forums. That's the best place to let us know.
Yeah, and especially with the starting experience, because we've redone the quests, we've redone a lot of the story and lore. All of the architecture you're going to see is been changed.
Okay, I'm glad they're redoing I think it's really great that they're redoing the entry level experience. But the fact that they needed to redo the quests and the story, less than 2 years after the game release, I think it just really is a showcase that dang, they threw hard. Like I said, overall, I'm glad they're doing it, but I've never seen a game less than 2 years after release go back and change the lore. That's a big deal.
The AI is different. So are we hitting the mark? Is it getting where you want it? And if so, please tell us that. But even more importantly is where we're missing, like Katie said. That's what we can action on the most. So that would be helpful.
Yeah, so join us in the PTR, everybody.
This was a fun, different kind of approach to the dev update, so I really appreciate y'all coming and helping with it. Can't wait till October with the Brimstone release, and we'll see you all in September with another dev update.
Ooh, let's go. All right, so that update is dropping October, and apparently we're getting even more information in September, which I will keep you guys updated when that drops as well. My honest thoughts after watching that video are a few things, and this is unfortunate. You never get a second chance to make a first impression. The reality is New World has been out for so long now. So many people got their first impression with the game, and sometimes you just never get a second chance to make a first impression. So I think them going back and revamping the starter experience is fantastic. But here's the deal, especially with New World having like a one character type of system. You don't have an alt in New World. It doesn't make any sense to have an alt in New World. You just level up your weapons. And so all those people that had a bad experience, they're not going to go back and level up a new character to experience it again. Like, they're not going to do that, right? They already have a max level 60 character. They're not going to start again. So this is only an update for new players, which is good, but it's not giving the old players an opportunity to undo their first experience. And so that's a bummer. So they might not get those new people back. And then in terms of new content, I think it's great. But new zone, at least, and again, there could be more information that we haven't heard yet, but only one new zone. Not one new zone, only one new expedition, only one new dungeon. I would have at least loved to have seen 2, maybe another variation of PvP, maybe another outpost rush, but like a different variation. Just more end game content. Because like that zone, and again, we don't know everything it has to offer, but adding a brand new zone is just really, it's not that beneficial, because sure, there's going to be some quests and some cool stuff in it, but if that zone doesn't have replayability, then it's just a zone. Like, how many zones in New World did you go through, complete what you needed to go there, and you never go back to them, right? Like, that's what MMOs are like. The world is huge, but then at max level, you spend time in like one major town, and then you don't go to the others. And my fear is that with this new zone they're going to add, it's going to be the same thing. You're going to experience the content in it for a little bit, and then you're just going to be done. But they need more replayable content. I would love to see them add raids, larger scale. I don't even care, even if you don't call it a raid, give me a 10-person dungeon, like some more end game replayability. And I think they're going in the right direction. I think they are going in the right direction with their mutated dungeons and things like that. But you got to remember, they have a lot of ground to cover. They have a lot to make up for such a flawed launch. And so do I think that this expansion is going to be enough to really make up for what's happened? Again, we've got such little information. We'll get more in September, but as of right now, I love New World, but I would love to see a lot more endgame content. I never even made it to level 60 because there was nothing to keep me going. I'm a raider. Give me some endgame dungeons. Give me lots of PvP variations. I'm glad the game has arena, but that came way too late, and we'll see. I'm excited to see what New World has, and I hope to be wrong, and I hope that it blows my mind, because I would love to come back, but I just need them to give me a good reason to really invest my time in their game. So that's my stance, people. That's where I'm at. Well, gamers, what do you think about the new Brimstone Sands content? Do you think the new zone's looking good? And are you going to be trying it out yourself? Let me know in the comments below. But also, hey, if you love MMO content just like this, hey, consider subscribing to this channel. Give the video a thumbs up. Hitting that like button honestly helps the algorithm so much. I'd appreciate it. But also, in the description below, I'll drop a link to my live stream. I'd love to interact with you live, get you in the community, and the Discord link as well, where we got tons of MMO players playing all kinds of MMOs. Thank you to those who subscribe to this channel on a monthly basis and support on Patreon. It is the #1 way to support this channel. You get additional content, behind the scenes access, all that good stuff. Link in the description below. You guys are awesome. We'll catch you in the next one.